Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of the Believe in UCLA football podcast. My name is James Williams, a reporter and an editor for the Orange County Register and the Southern California News Group. And as always, I'm joined here by former UCLA linebacker Josh Woods. Josh, what's going on, man?
It's been a minute. I've been gone, but I'm back now. I'm not back in California, but back on the pod. Unfortunately, it's been some ups, some downs, and now it's a down. Unfortunately, I got hurt, and I'll be out for the remainder of the season. It's crazy because it's the exact same injury that I had at UCLA, where it's like a contact injury, like a fluke freak play, where it's like the chances of it happening are like crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing I could have done just in a vulnerable position and got rolled up on.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh,
yeah.
is that what it
So it
was?
happened to my other knee, which was my good knee. So
Mm.
yeah, it's tough, man. So much work I put into this, so much effort, and um, yeah, I feel like in the midst of it was, kind of a breakout year for me up here. I think like
That's what it was
I
looking
was on
like.
a,
That's what it was sounding
I know
like.
I was on like an all-star pace to start the year. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I got cut short. Definitely going kind of a different route with this knee, just the approach with surgery and stuff like that. Like I'll be getting my surgery next month and going from there. And yeah, I think, being me, having gone through it, I know what it's like. I know what I need to do. Um, like I was saying earlier, it's a consistent like routine. It does get kind of boring, but um it's exciting when I'm gonna, have new milestones and new achievements. Probably those will come after the surgery, but um, you know, it sucks. I'm just looking forward to, next year and being back.
Yeah.
It's crazy because like I said before, just having, a good friendship and like brotherhood. I was really, helping Hudson Hammermill with his situation.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing this together for real. So, we just back and forth updating each other and yeah, I got really good people around me, you know, back home and up here. Just one of the reasons I wanted to come back to the BC Lions was the organization and the people in the building, and it's a family. And honestly, the love and support that I've been given up here from, like I said, the boys in the locker room to the fans to even, peers across the league. It's been great. I will be back next year, ready to go, I promise. But yeah, now I have more time and I can talk UCLA football, man. So what you want to talk about? It's been a minute. I feel like a lot. I've been on Twitter. I have been seeing, a lot's going on. It seems
Mm-hmm.
like they got it cooking down in Westwood. The welcome to
Mm-hmm.
the Foss era. Do more. I'm seeing I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing recruits getting on the wave, all these commitments. It's feeling like the Foss era is giving Bruin Revolution 2.0. You know what I'm saying? As far as you feel the
Mm-hmm.
energy, you see the activity, um, you see it from the players, you see it from the coaches on Twitter, you see it from the fans, you're seeing it from the recruits, you're seeing it from the recruits' family. It's it's
Yeah.
infectious, like the
Mm-hmm.
energy. I've only seen and heard good things, you know what I'm saying? And it looks really good when the other school across the street, like fans are even kind of getting frustrated about it. And
Yeah.
it's looking like we're gonna be, a top recruiting class one. Like we haven't been that in so long. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be really important. It's our first year in the Big Ten. Yeah, our roster kind of is what it is. We did make some improvements, I feel like, with the portal, and we definitely have some guys that are gonna have breakout years. But just continuing in this Foss era is going to take, these big recruiting classes and like Foss said, like Foss wants this to be his last stop. So that's like this is, this is a process, building like yeah, it's an era. It's a he's trying to build that
Mm-hmm.
dynasty. He's what I'm saying, and that that doesn't just happen overnight, especially when you're handed over, the keys to a team that didn't win a championship last year. You know what I'm saying? Where you know what I'm saying? Where
Right.
where
It's not like he inherited Alabama.
exactly, like the coach from UW, I'm forgetting his name, but like
Yeah, DeBoer. Yeah.
you're inheriting a playoff team with the top, you know, guys from the past few years with, all these things in a legacy. Even Coach Fish
Right.
going to UW, he's going to a team that just came off of going to the national championship, having these guys drafted and again having these recruiting classes. Foss, even though he's been here, he's taking over the keys to a team that unfortunately hasn't, been, we haven't had top classes. We haven't the recruiting wasn't where it
Mm.
should have been these past, 5, 6 years. And he's making it work with what he has and, making the correct changes and implementing things that are really going to turn the program around. And I think we're seeing that.
The thing that I find most interesting about all of this is, one, I feel like I'm a lot more busier than in the off season than I ever have. Um, but it's just interesting because it's not like he's a complete outsider. It's a guy who's been within the program, and just to see the 9-day differences between someone who was already in the building, like if I had given Deshaun Foster truth serum, I'd be curious to know, like, while Chip was there, like, what did DeFoster like really think, or how was he really feeling about, like,
Hmm.
just the way they went about recruiting, the way they did this, the way they did that. It's just interesting. I don't know if UCLA's ever done this before, but they had a 7-on-7 tournament last month. Did they ever do that
We used to
before?
do that. It used to be a thing for every year.
Okay,
Um,
because I was at this 7-on-7 tournament, going between the intramural field and the
hmm
facility, trying to watch all these different schools. There was at least two schools. Well, Warren had a commit, Madden, the quarterback. Then they had Jace Brown, who had not committed yet, but was literally less than 24 hours from coming off his official visit before returning and having the 7-on-7 tournament. And then there was another guy who I think didn't commit yet, or I think he was committed. I can't remember, but he was on Santa Margarita, or he was on one of the other teams. I can't remember. But even him, like, there was a few guys out there. Like, I wasn't out there just because they were hosting a 7-on-7 tournament. I was out there to watch and talk to commits. Like, that's the thing. I wasn't doing that the last 4 or 5 years I was covering UCLA. That was not a thing. And I'm watching. There's more guys to keep up with. They're transferring to high schools. One just went to Corona Centennial from Chaparral. Another one just transferred somewhere else, I think. So, like, they're getting ready. They're playing big boy football this upcoming season, and um, it's just an interesting time, for sure. I don't know if you saw today, and I know you had kind of asked me about this a little bit earlier too. You asked me when Big Ten Media Day is. Um, it's like July 23rd through the 25th or something like that. But they announced the players that are going. So it's going to be Ethan Garbers, Jay Toya, and linebacker Olufemi Oludejio. They'll be joining Deshaun Foster out there in Indiana. One, I think that's a good thing, just because it's not just two
yeah, I like
players,
that.
right? As much as I enjoy talking to, who is it, you and Josh Kelly
Well, no,
at the
no,
time,
my
right?
year it was me and Theo,
Oh
me
no,
and
you
Theo
had
Howard. The
no, yeah,
next year
Theo,
was
yeah.
Chris Barnes and Josh Kelly. Yeah.
And Josh, and that's what. Okay, right. So, and it was just like, okay, two people. I mean, that's cool, but it was like when you have like 3, 4 different people, it makes it that much more interesting. That much more interesting. That I can't talk. Um, but I am getting a little bit of FOMO over here because the Pac-12 network, or the Pac-12 conference, used to have their media days in Vegas, or they had the last couple years, and now they're going to be in Indiana for the Big Ten. But now the Big 12 is in Las Vegas this week. The Pac-2, they're still going by the Pac-12, but the Pac-2, they had. Did you see they had an after-hours media day with an open bar to try and get people to come? They did that yesterday. in Vegas.
Were
So
the teams with the players there?
yeah, at first I didn't know if the players went, but the players were there. It was kind of no different. Like they each brought two players. The coaches were there. They had some of the alumni from each school were there, and then Yogi was hosting the thing. So it was just kind of business as usual. But I mean, everyone was in Vegas except the Big Ten. They want to go to Indy. I don't know if I'm going to Indy, but remains to be seen. But we'll be figuring it out. I'm going to actually uh, ideally be talking to some players here coming up shortly, sometime next week, because the EA Sports College Football 25 video game is coming out. I've been talking on the podcast a little bit about that, but UCLA, or actually the Men of Westwood, is going to be hosting an event for fans to come out. They can buy a ticket. They can play games with the players, take photos, and tour the facility and whatnot. And hopefully, we get a chance to talk to some of the guys there, and now kind of serve a little bit as a media day in a way. But um, yeah, it's just interesting to even see these schools again rally around a video game. Josh, are you? I've been thinking about this because I mentioned the video game thing to you before, and you were kind of like, you seemed kind of meh about it. Are you just too young? Is that what's happening? Did you not grow up playing the game?
Am I too young? No, I'm salty because I wasn't in the game. I've been playing.
Okay.
What are you talking about? I played the game almost
I couldn't remember. I
two
couldn't
decades
remember.
ago. Like, yes, I grew.
Well, yeah, that's what
I
I'm
grew up
saying.
on the game.
I mean, you were what, 5?
Like, yeah, I'm.
Wait, how old were you?
I mean, I'm 20. I'm 26. I'm. Yeah. I'm not. I'm not. I'm getting older. Okay. But
But the game came out in 2013. I don't know how old
no,
you
no,
were in
no, no, no. I've been
2013,
playing
but
this thing since 2005, 2004, 2003.
oh,
I ain't new.
okay.
I ain't new to this.
I didn't
I
know.
just. I was
Okay.
just salty that in the years that I was at
Okay.
UCLA, there was no game. So like it
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
missed my entire career at UCLA. I never got to play with myself in the game,
Hmm.
and now it's back,
Yeah.
and they're getting paid for it. It's just, yeah, I'm salty. Will I play the game? Yes. Will my dynasty be UCLA? Yes. Will my road to glory be a UCLA player? Yes, because it's me. I'm gonna
Okay.
live my real.
He said, "This is me. This is my time."
I'm living my real life through the game.
You know what's a little bit of a bummer, and I guess it depends because they probably only put select teams in, but I know at least some of the older games, they used to put in some like older teams in it. So that would have been kind of cool if like one of your teams was
I
in it,
think
but I don't
logistically,
think they're doing
yeah,
all that.
like I feel like it was hard enough getting every player, already
Yeah, yeah.
buying into the game. So like,
Right,
yeah,
right,
I
right.
don't know if they would have to contact all those previous rosters and get, the okay and
I
then
mean,
pay everybody.
even if you were just a number, even if you were just a jersey number like they used to do back then.
I mean, yeah, but even
But you want that likeness.
no, 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 I don't no, yeah. I was like, I don't even I don't need the little the $600 check, whatever it was. Just
Mhm. Mhm.
put me in the game.
Right.
Pre
Face scan me, put me in
face
the game.
scan, pre knee injury, pre shoulder injury.
Mhm.
Fresh, yeah. Fresh 19-year-old Josh Woods. Put him in the game.
Okay. I see you kind of surprised me there because you started talking about dynasty mode, road to glory. I didn't think I got the impression. I was like, maybe I won't talk to Josh about it because he didn't seem all that interested when I mentioned it. So I was
No,
like,
especially now that I
all
have
right.
time, I'm counting down the days because from a
Okay,
video game
fair,
perspective,
fair.
there's been a lack of new games on the market. And to like
Hmm.
bringing back a game like this, like the expectations are so high that if they disappoint, like it might be the end of video. Like for me, it's gonna take a lot. I already don't play Madden anymore. I
I
already, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I stopped Madden a long time ago. I think with this one, I don't think there's anything wrong. The hype and just the fact that the game is back, I think the first one's gonna be fine. It's like 2 or 3 years down the
but
road what
the
becomes the game
real
after
like
that.
the gamer side, there's certain feel to the game that
Right,
like
right.
people want that Madden's been missing, and they have been,
Okay,
adamant
true.
about if you bring the game back, do not mess it up. Like it needs to play a certain way. Because even though I mean Madden and NCAA were both football games, both EA Sports games,
Mhm.
the play and the feel of those games were a little different. And a lot of
Right.
people, that's why a lot of people lean to the NCAA because it played a certain way. The gameplay was a little different. The controls, this is just a little difference. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of diehard people that are like, yeah, like they better not mess this up because they took all this time doing it. They had years to, figure this out. So
Hmm.
I hope it meets
So one
expectations.
one thing, so obviously, as we just mentioned, they didn't have the game when you were there. Because so one of the biggest things for me is like, I've already admitted I'm not the biggest X's and O's guy. If it's up to me, I'm just throwing four verticals and just throwing the ball and letting the computer catch it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very basic. I don't care. But one thing I'm looking forward to now that I know you're on board with the game is knowing like, okay, when you play as UCLA and then in the middle of the season when you're watching UCLA, I want to know is, I mean, one, I don't know how they're going to know what the playbook is, especially because it's like Eric Bieniemy's just coming in. So like, I'd be curious, what are they even going to make the playbook? Is it going to be Chip's playbook? Do they just throw random play? Like, how, I don't. I'm curious to know how that's going to
I
work.
mean, generally, you kind of know what kind of offense, people run or what kind
Hmm.
of scheme they run. So like, people that are more West Coast, people that are more, power I, like you got to give, Army, the triple option stuff.
Right. Right.
And like
Hmm.
that's what they'll have. Of course, they're not going to be the exact plays that
Right.
Eric Bieniemy's running. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
you're gonna
Right.
have
Right.
like your basic concepts and basic plays that are kind of the same. I mean, maybe they watch tape and they put a few of those plays in, but
Hmm.
it's never going to be a real playbook. And the same thing for defense. If a school runs more 3-4, then that's going to be their base defense. Not saying you can't switch them to a 4-3 on the game, but they're going to give
Right.
you
Right.
their base is going to be 3-4, and they're going to have plays and coverages that are generic, and blitzes are not going to be because there's certain things that you can't make a video game do as far as like blitzes and
Right.
reads and
Right.
certain
Right.
things. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things are going to be
Hmm.
like generic. You're going to have you know your cover one, your cover zero, your cover two, your cover three, your cover four, maybe a cover six. You're gonna have basic like Mike A gap blitz, like a Sam C gap blitz. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Where like in real life,
Yeah.
that might be a Sam tackle read with the end, out charging. You know what I'm saying? Where there's certain elements to
Yeah.
real life that you
Right.
play with that a video game.
It would be hard
Yeah, like I
to
don't think
replicate.
you can,
Yeah.
make it do all that. And I mean, in football, there are these coordinator gurus that like, yeah, it'd be impossible
Yeah.
to formulate until a game the match man fire zone pressures that the defense is running, or whatever Airbnb is drawing up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
or certain
Right.
plays. Even the stuff that the Chiefs run, like the plays that they talk. I don't know if you've watched like
Mhm.
quarterback or anything with
No, I haven't, but I need to.
where like Mahomes and Reed, like the way like they will make almost sometimes like make up plays, try them out at practice, and like maybe run in the game,
Mhm.
and that's where you get some of these crazy ideas that happen on Sundays. Are just kind of like made up plays that they're like this actually might work, and then using them. But like you couldn't have the play where they were kind of like ring around the rosy into the what
Oh,
I'm
right.
saying?
The, I forget.
Or
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
one
yeah,
year
yeah, yeah.
Michigan lined up in a straight line and then broke into the
Mhm.
formation. Something like that. Even like the split, like there's
Right,
certain things
right.
where it's like it's a video game. Like it's not real.
Yeah. Right, right. So, I guess it's fair to say that you or that players will not be using the game not to replace, like, studying film and stuff,
They
but,
better
like,
not.
there's no there's no, like, advantage not advantage I don't know, like, there's nothing you guys can take from it,
There,
right?
I,
Like,
I would say there is some you can. It might be able to
okay.
help you identify the coverage as far as like, oh, this is I'm playing against cover one. It's single high safety. Oh,
Mhm.
it looked like cover one, but it's cover three with the corner dropping high thirds. And then like
Mhm.
if you're maybe a pass rusher or a running back, like maybe a move you did, you're like, oh, like that was a
Gotcha.
cool move. I might try that at practice tomorrow. Like I did growing up playing running back. So yeah, if I seen like I made a certain juke or a spin move or a stiff arm, like I
Mhm.
might try that in real life. or a certain pass rush that like I might just try it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
as a kid, that's you kind of do. I mean, as a young kid, you're kind of learning the rules. Like Madden and NCAA helps rules, but like
Right.
as
Right.
of now, it would be like, oh, that move was kind of cool. I might try something like that. Like, it might inspire you without you knowing. Like, oh, I'm
Right.
gonna try that spin move tomorrow.
That makes sense. Okay, so I even if I were to ask the players this, I don't know if they would admit it, but as someone who, let's say the game came out when you were in college, are you spending some extra time up at night? Like, are you playing the game as much as you can, or are you still being a responsible college athlete, or what's the deal?
Um, in my time, let's just say there was a lot of time spent beating games or playing, trying to get wins with the boys. Like,
Okay.
I'm not saying it would interfere with anything, but like when you have free time,
Hmm.
you're gonna be on the game. I hope guys aren't like pulling
Okay.
all nighters for the game, but like
Yeah.
live your, you know what I'm saying? When you have free time, live your life. Do things that you enjoy, and you know, video
Hmm.
games are as an outlet. You know, it might be your coping for your mental health. You know, you're
Right.
kind of, it could be your escape in a way. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, get after it when you can. Don't let it affect your schedule.
Yeah. And so what console are we playing on here? Are we
PS5,
playing on Xbox, PlayStation?
never an Xbox guy.
Okay. Okay.
PS5 all day.
We may we may have to play a game or two down the road. I talked about maybe even streaming it on YouTube, so if we can get that together, maybe we could do
That'd be pretty
that.
dope.
But yeah, I'm curious to see the game. Wait, did you pre-order?
I've been debating.
I mean, you're running out of time on this
I mean,
pre-order. You're either gonna do it or
well,
you're
I
not.
really just need to make the decision the 3 days before the game.
I don't know if you can. Can you?
I got to make a decision like soon, but it's like if you get a certain one, you get the game 3 days early, and it's like, but it's like 30,
If you do digital
and it's like,
only, yeah.
well, yeah,
Or
I got to do
deluxe.
that,
A deluxe
but it's
edition
like
or whatever. Yeah,
30
yeah, yeah.
bucks more to get the game pretty much 3 days early. So
Hmm.
it's like
It's 3 days early though. Are you gonna be sitting there watching everybody?
I've waited this
I
long.
can't sit and watch.
I like watching
Yeah,
streamers, so like
no.
I can watch somebody
I
play.
mean, that's cool
Yeah,
too,
like,
but
and it's gonna, but that also
the
teaches me like what I should and should not do.
yeah, that's
You know what I'm
true.
saying? So like, oh,
But
they
see,
messed
look,
up. I'm not gonna waste my time doing that because I've seen how they just messed up.
so when I like, so I think there's already gonna be some streamers that are gonna be streaming it like on Monday and Tuesday, or like on Sunday and Monday, or just throughout this weekend. So if they're doing some dynasty stuff, maybe I'll watch that to see how they fail in recruiting or whatever, so I don't do the same
Hmm.
mistakes. Um, But part of me, I'm not gonna lie, I almost didn't want to go to this event that UCLA is hosting because I'm like, that's kind of interrupting my early access time. But I think the game's actually coming out on the 15th, even though they said the
I
16th.
mean, usually that, yeah,
So
like
if
15th
yeah,
at would be like what, 9 p.m. Cali time.
no, they're saying at 1 p.m.
Oh,
This is like that's technically like 4 days early.
yeah, that's
But I don't know that for sure. But I
nah. You better
saw
go to
something
that
that said
event, and
it's
hopefully you get to get a tour.
I'm
Tour,
going,
get you finally get a tour of Wasserman, and you get to
I
see
know.
the ins and outs.
I gotta get a tour. I gotta get a tour. I still gotta ask about that, but I gotta get a tour because I'll be damned if I go in that facility and don't see what y'all be walking up and down the halls doing. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go, but I debated for a while. I went because they reached out to us and actually asked us to come and cover it, or the players are gonna be available and whatnot. So I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
cool.
it should be a good
But I
event.
wasn't gonna ask to go. I wasn't gonna ask to go, but when they reached out about it, I was like, fine, I'll go. But I better play somebody. I better play Garbers or somebody. I better get some time on the game over there. No, it should be fun though. I'm looking forward to it. And just seeing the guys that are excited. Um, the roster is not officially out, but I would imagine everyone who knows they're going to be in the games in the game.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it's probably just a little bit of a bummer for some of the walk-ons, but yeah, okay. Real quick, we'll get off the video game stuff here in a minute. So I actually did my top four of who I'm gonna do for my dynasty. I don't know if you saw this or not.
Why is UCLA
Um,
not in your top four?
So you did see it.
I've seen. I didn't. I don't remember the
Um,
four teams. I just know that UCLA is not there.
because I figured if I was doing UCLA, because it's more the my final four are four. I have the expectation that I'm gonna play in a dynasty online with a group of people. Ideally,
You're
if it's
trying.
gonna
Yeah,
be a
you're trying
group
to
of
pick one that
people,
others won't have.
yes, because so it's I don't want to be playing with the UCLA fans. I do want to play with the UCLA fans, but if everyone is in the dynasty, let them fight over UCLA. I'm not gonna be getting a fight. They can have it. That's their school. Whatever. I'm not gonna be in the middle of it. Um, so I picked Long Beach State, which is my alma mater. That's one of
That
the schools.
okay?
I
I
don't know if I want to,
respect because it's your alma
but
mater.
I don't know if I want to actually make the school because I don't know how that's going to work. I might be starting from the bottom, like
That's a lot
just
of that's a lot
like
of
what
work.
roster are they going to
Yeah,
give
and
me?
I mean, unless you could
Yeah,
do the one where I don't know if you could do it in this, but on like other games, you kind of take over another program and then rename it.
and just change the logo. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. If I could do that, then
yeah, but what school would
that'd
you
be cool.
do though? What school would you want to?
So it would so if I did it my other school, and I honestly I just picked it mainly because I thought the logo looked kind of neat, whatever. But Northern Illinois is the other one I picked,
Trash.
or yes, Northern Illinois. But that's why I didn't want to pick like an obvious team, right? But that's a team I would pick where it's like no one's gonna be hurting if it
But
was
if you
UCLA.
playing
I
with
mean,
other people and
um,
they have a better team, then you just not. It's not gonna be fun.
well, look, I mean, if someone's picking Ohio State, then I'm not picking Northern Illinois. I had Cincinnati, which is a team I one of the teams I had for my Road to Glory guy back in 2013, I guess it was. I was on Cincinnati at the time. That was before Sauce Gardner and all that, so let's not get it twisted. I was already cool with Cincinnati before that. And then I wanted to at least have a Big Ten team in there, so I went with Nebraska because they're on the roster. They're on the schedule for the upcoming season,
So you
and
would get an
they're
op.
either I think they're early. I look
They're a
if I
conference
my the
opponent
reason
now. Why don't you get? Why didn't you
the
get?
reason
Why didn't you
why
get one of the last two Pac
listen
two teams?
no, okay, so this is why. The reason why I picked a Big Ten team to potentially be one of my teams is because I want to play the other Big Ten teams. And by doing that, I'll know who the other teams' rosters are, get familiar
You
with
trying to
that. It's
infiltrate?
all
Oh,
studying,
okay. You
man.
trying to infiltrate?
It's all work.
Okay.
I'm just trying to,
I'm here with you now.
and if I so that was the point. That's the reason. So it would be like Nebraska, Wisconsin. It wouldn't be Ohio State. It wouldn't be Michigan. Those are all
Yeah,
obvious. But so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm still deciding. It might just be Nebraska, just because they're a decent team. I think they have a young quarterback who's a true freshman, Dylan Raiola, if I'm not mistaken. So if I did a dynasty mode there, I would have a solid quarterback, ideally for like
but
three
like, what would
years.
you
So
do when you play UCLA? Like, you would lose on purpose?
no, I'm spamming. I'm trying to destroy the coach Deshaun Foster and company.
That's crazy.
I'm trying to run up the score. Okay, can you
Yeah,
hear
I
me
don't know if
now?
it muted or went out for a second.
Oh, it went out. I was touching the mic. But anyway, so Nebraska is totally an option for me. But so what about you? Is it just for sure UCLA? You don't have see you have to have a backup team because if you were to if assuming you're gonna play online dynasty, right? And there's a good chance I'm trying to get all the believe folks ideally to play an online dynasty. So if you were in that, I mean I guess you could probably get UCLA,
I
but
mean, that'd be cool
you
if
don't
you,
have a
yeah,
backup
you just
line.
you get to represent your show. But
That's what I'm saying. That'd be kind of cool.
um, I mean, as a backup, see, my brother is at law school at Michigan,
Okay.
so that potentially would be the backup. Or
This is one of the younger brothers, the
no, this is my
twins?
older brother.
Okay, right. I was gonna say,
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
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 okay.
yeah. So naturally, that's probably number two. Number three, because my best friend Gary Baker, his younger brother Brandon Baker, is now a true freshman at
Okay.
Texas.
And did Gary Baker go to? He went to
Yeah,
Upland.
and Gary Baker went to Oregon.
Okay, his name sounds
and
familiar. Yeah.
he and his younger brother was a 5-star out of Mater Dei and is now attending Texas. So potentially Texas.
Oh, okay. Not
And a
bad.
fourth one because at the end of the day, my last two schools were UCLA and Oregon, so like I feel like maybe I had to go to Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, not bad. Not bad. It's not like you're just picking them because they're a good team.
No,
Okay. Okay.
there's going to be a tie.
Okay.
Like it has to be a tie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. That's respectable. I can get behind that. Um. So that's that. I do want to jump back over to the real UCLA schedule here for the future, actually. Um, and I'm kind of curious for your thoughts on this. So they had Georgia and Auburn on the schedule for a little while now for some teams that were going to play. I have the years here written down if we want to get into the specifics. But UCLA announced earlier this week that they're moving on from, or they mutually decided to terminate contracts with Auburn and Georgia, two teams from the SEC, to bring on UC Davis, Cal, and Utah. What do you think about Utah? I mean, what do you think about Cal specifically being back in the mix to play UCLA?
I mean, I've said it before. I feel like the teams that UCLA needs to play every year are Cal and Stanford. So I think it's great. I think this also is great for the travel. Um, Having games that won't be as far away, even Utah compared to going all the way to Auburn or Georgia, Utah is not that bad of a flight. I mean, and it's familiar. Even, I mean, um, I mean, down the road, it will be guys that haven't been there before. But just in a sense of even with
Mm-hmm.
Coach Foster and the coaching staff, and you know, guys that have
Yeah.
played there or coached there before. So, I mean, I like it. I mean, if you want to play Georgia, play them in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Mm.
I think,
Don't take that smoke on purpose if you don't
yeah,
need to.
we'll see y'all down the road. Eventually, I think we see those
Mm-hmm.
teams as this Foss era is taking off. Definitely down the road, we'll see them. But I think yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, having more local games, having it just makes sense logistically. And like
Right.
I said,
It
for the
does.
rivalry of us and Cal, the Cal region schools, we should play them every year.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford, we should play them every year. So
Yeah. I think the next go around when they need to reload on games, I think Stanford will kind of be back in that
it's the
mix
one thing that
as teams
I
they've been
mean,
on before.
the one thing that is tough though, because Stanford already usually plays Notre Dame,
Oh, it depends.
which is one, and
Oh,
then
right.
I don't know if USC is still one of their games
Right.
because usually
So it's like kind of a limited selection, yeah, because they're locked in with their conference and then like a Notre
I was
Dame,
like
like you
Notre Dame
said.
for sure. I don't know if Stanford is. I don't know what Stanford's non-conference is as far as if they locked in with SC, if because they didn't lock in with us. But
Uh, I don't know. I don't know if USC is trying to do that. I don't know what USC is trying to
I
do, to
don't
be
I don't
honest.
really
But
care what they're gonna do. I'm
um,
just saying as far as oh Stanford can't play us because they're already playing them. I get that, and like not
right,
so they're not
right,
playing both every year. Um, but I know like yeah like Notre Dame is a lock for them. But in the way that Notre Dame is a lock for
right.
them, I think at least Cal should be a lock for UCLA as a team that no matter what they have to play every year. You know what I'm saying? Just for the
No,
rivalry, the history, the
I
legacy.
no, I agree. And let me I mean, this is a UCLA podcast. I would imagine everyone knows or is aware of the rivalry and whatnot for Cal and UCLA. But for those who don't, let me just kind of read off uh some of why I think this is a pretty neat rivalry. So UCLA and Cal have played one another each year as far back as
Dang.
1933. And that streak will barely end this year. The streak ends this year because they don't have them on the schedule. So I think it's kind of neat that they're going to pick they're going to pick that rivalry right back up, and that's going to be in 20. I have it written down here. I'm looking through my own article. They have Utah. They have Utah in 2025. They have them in 2030. So that's a big gap there.
I'll probably be on the staff by then.
Yeah.
And before, I'll
Yeah.
definitely be coaching by
I mean, it's
then.
just so crazy how how far out they play UC Davis in 2027 and 2029. I don't know why I didn't write when they're playing Stanford. I mean, when they're playing Cal. Um, wow, I got to go back and fix that. But yeah, it's somewhere in between 2025 and 2030. But it was crazy. They had games like scheduled all the way back like in 2030. Like, yeah, they were gonna play Wisconsin in 2030 and 2029, but those games were nullified because they joined the Big Ten conference. So um, yeah, they had Northwestern scheduled for 2033, 2034. Like, that's crazy.
That's so far ahead.
Um, that's so far ahead. You don't know what those schools are going to look like at that point in time. But yeah, so I think it is kind of neat. And again, like I think one of the things that stood out to me about adding Utah to the schedule is Utah is still going to be a solid enough team that can kind of work as your big game on your non-conference schedule,
Yeah.
right? Like you have LSU this year. You kind of get a Utah team that, I mean, UCLA hasn't had the best luck against recently. Or they beat them at the Rose Bowl last year, I think. Not last year, but the year before when they played. Um, but I think it's a team that UCLA could be competitive with
It could,
in the
yeah,
near
and
future.
it,
Obviously, a few years
yeah,
down
it
the
could
road,
look
could be
good
different.
for the playoff
Right.
committee. And
If it gets down to strength of schedule or stuff like
mhm.
that. Just I pulled it up here real quick. They're gonna play Cal at Cal in 2026, and then they are going to have it's a 4-game series. So UCLA and Cal are locked in for 4 games. 2026, 2027, 2028, and 2029. Okay. So they're locked in for the next couple years. So that's kind of good. So that rivalry is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Question:
Um,
do you think we're paying
yes.
them to play us?
So that was a question I got to ask
Because
old Martin
maybe
Jarman
they
about
were like,
because
we want money from y'all. How about we just play each other and y'all give us, the money through that?
but if they're smart, well, hopefully if UCLA is smart, but one, since they're already paying them calimony, I don't know if you've heard that term being used, for that money they owe them because they went to the Big Ten conference. I don't see why they even have to be paying each other anything aside from the calimony thing. Even though I don't think they should probably be paying that if they're going to play each other, but if they're in the same region, like why? Who owes? Why does anyone owe anyone money?
But that's
Like they didn't owe money then when they were in
it's a
the
for
Pac-12,
sure it's a for
right?
sure calimony situation. I thought that was a recommendation. I didn't know that was really happening.
What that UCLA owes Cal money?
Yeah, I thought it was like a suggestion, like y'all should give them
Yeah,
what 10 to 11 million a year.
no, it was like a suggestion, but there was like a wink
Oh,
behind it.
like
But
you
then
got to do it.
you're going to pay. But then it actually got finalized where I think they had like within the last like 2 maybe 3 months now that it kind of got finalized that they were going to pay him money for a certain number of years. But I don't know if this is relieving that. That was never mentioned. I gotta ask
Y'all go
Jarman
get
about it
your
or somebody.
ACC bag. You know what I'm saying? That's
And see, the thing that's crappy about it is this was like it was first kind of talked about before they even joined the ACC, I think. Or
and
well, because part of it is they're not taking a whole lot of money. They're only getting 50% of what other teams are going to get from the TV
in
deal.
ACC.
Oh yeah, they took
Hey, we know what's even
yeah
what's
they took
even worse though is the fact that the Big 12 is trying to poach the best teams in the ACC, which will make the conference
mm-hmm,
even worse, and they will still have to do all that
right.
travel. That would be terrible.
Mm-hmm. Did you did you see what Cal? I seen this before on Twitter, but Josh Pate and on the Late Kick podcast, he mentioned it recently. I don't remember the exact number, but it's somewhere around pretty much the Cal schedule with the 5 games that they're playing on the road is pretty much a trip around the earth. It's like pretty close to it
I think they need to have like a satellite location.
facility. The thing is, UCLA is not that far behind with the trip around the world
I
too.
mean, yeah, the
They're
fact
like
that
not
we
that
have to
far
go
behind.
to Hawaii and to LSU,
Yeah, you're going this way, you're going that way, you're going. Yeah, it's
There
crazy.
and back, there and back is it's absurd.
Hmm. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but they're gonna have to do it. They wanted to be in the Big Ten conference, so there's that. But yeah, so those are just some quick things for me. I do have a few other little nuggets to mention. UCLA did hire Corey Miller to be its new head football performance coach, apparently replacing Keith Belton, who was kind of the lead of the strength and conditioning there for the program the last couple years and had received high reviews. Corey Miller was with the program um, for at least a year or two before leaving last year and was working with the linemen for the Carolina Panthers, doing their strength and conditioning and whatnot. But now he returns and he's going to be taking over that role. So going to be curious how that may or may not change things in terms of the strength and conditioning there. And then I was actually talking to Tracy McDaniel from Rivals not too long before we got on there, and we find out the dietitian Ross Shunway, I believe his name, left the program in January before Chip even left. And he was kind of another big part that they credited between Belton and Shunway for the reason why there were very few injuries and whatnot the last couple of years. Apparently, now the dietitian guy has apparently been away for a while, and then maybe that's why we saw some of the guys get hurt that we did. Maybe,
I don't
I
believe
don't know.
so.
Maybe,
I
huh?
don't think so. From the
You don't think
no,
so? Well,
and
I mean ACL and stuff. Those are just freak
yeah,
accidents,
yeah, yeah,
anyways,
those are
right?
all unrelated
Yeah.
to diet, unrelated to those are yeah. And
But
and from what I
go
saw
ahead.
from what I see from Shea Pitts in social media
Mm.
and stuff that I see, they're eating good.
Coach
Yeah,
Pitt.
Coach Pitts,
Coach Pitt.
MC Pitts,
MC Pitts,
Host
yeah.
Pitts. Um,
Host, yeah.
I the boys are eating good. Great. It looks like they have great
Mm,
options, and I think they've kept um what Ross had been doing. It's pretty
right.
similar. So I think they're good.
Ross wasn't there when you were
No.
there, right? No, okay. So, did you ever have a change where the dietitian changed or
Yeah,
the
we
strength and
did.
conditioning coach changed?
I've had
Is it
all
is
those.
it a major difference? Like
Yes.
how so?
Strength staffs. I mean, those are big. Like, cause you're with the strength staff every day. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? You're with them way more than you're with
Right.
the football coaches. So like, the culture that they implement is usually how your team is going to be the entire year. So I've seen different approaches, different styles. For some reason, it's a lot of military vibes. Like they love
Yeah. Some of what you
strength
experienced,
coaches
yeah,
love
was
them a
military
good,
stuff.
hoorah, military,
Yeah.
style, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
discipline and everything like that. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, they dictate really the culture and the energy in the building every day, which, carries over to football team and practice and, all that stuff. And then the same with the diet. Um, I feel like every dietitian kind of feels like they want to have their own thing and they say they want to get the guys what they
Hmm.
want. From what I have seen, the food has like improved tremendously. Like compared to when I first got there to when I first got there to when
Right.
I left was a big jump, but to what they do now, they have no excuse. Like the boys are eating good. Like the options, the
Okay.
quality, the quantity, like uh it UCLA food has improved. I remember there was a whole article about it and the money that got put into it.
Yeah. Hmm.
But that's I mean, diet is a big part of development and like you said, like health and that type of thing. So having those resources are big. I mean, you see other teams like Alabama have a whole facility just for food, um,
Hmm.
and I think UCLA's done a good job with that. So yeah, whoever takes over, I hope they continue to do what they're doing, and we'll see good results.
And one other last topic for me, and I kind of mentioned this to you before we got started here, was um throughout the off season, the NCAA or whoever the big higher up people are have been finalizing different decisions, coaching rule changes, and stuff like that. One of them was it kind of freed up where even the analysts can be more hands-on during practice and during games with the players. One, I think that's a good thing just in general across the board because it creates an opportunity for more resources for the guys,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and as I mentioned in my the previous episode that I did, um, someone like Scott White will kind of maybe really kind of take the lead from Akaika Molloy there as that inside linebackers coach. And I think he'll just really kind of be able to run away with it and free up Molloy a little bit as someone who could just focus on the defense as a defensive coordinator. But you may have talked about him a little bit prior, but can you just tell me a little bit about Scott White and why he was an important part for what your time at UCLA was?
Yeah, I mean, the Bruins getting Scotty is huge for the linebacker development. I mean, of course, they had Kane Norton Jr., who was, one of the
Mm-hmm.
best of all time playing and coaching. But to continue on with another guy like Scott White, somebody that really knows his X's and O's development and really has, you know, from the bottom up, like he started it, as a GA under Mora. I mean, even previous before, like other guys asked me about Scotty from before he was at UCLA. But from when I got there, I saw him grind from a GA up to being a linebacker coach. And he was a key part of my development as far as like the X's and O's knowledge that I know now. I owe a lot of that to endless hours
Mm-hmm.
on the board with Scotty. Um, he's helped me a lot in learning and my development. And I hope I even when I went back, I was telling some of the young guys like stay in
Yeah.
this dude's office, like learn as much as you can from him. Like, he's great. Having somebody of his caliber who has like coach linebackers at the Power Five, coach special teams at the Power Five level, um, you know, done all these things, been under these different staffs, is a great recruiter. Like Scott
Yeah.
White is a great recruiter. I mean, the guy that he was able to bring into San Jose State, I always tell him this. I'm like, dude, like your linebackers are, you know, the strength of the team. I see it, in their play and on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dang. He's always saying, like, yeah, I got this young cat from da da da, like he's gonna be this that. And then a lot of time, like we compare to people that we know, and we're like, oh, like this guy,
Right.
he's kind of like you, or he'll be like, oh, he's like a Jayon Brown, or he's like a Cam Judge, or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? I haven't heard him say
Right.
anybody's a Miles Jack or a Eric Kendricks yet, but maybe one
Mm-hmm.
day. But yeah, his style the players really love. So I mean, I know he's a big part in the success of recruiting that's been happening at UCLA right now. And yeah, to get a guy like
Yeah.
that on your staff, so Malloy doesn't have to worry about the linebackers, and like you're pretty much getting. I mean, he is like a position coach. I mean, his title might not be, what I'm saying, but he's the
Right.
linebacker
Yeah.
coach, and I think it's going to be great. And hopefully we continue on. The LBU status, and with guys like Femi, guys like Ali Cajo, and
Mm-hmm.
Kane.
Yeah.
I think that is going to be, the core of the defense, going to be the strength of the defense, and those guys are going to have breakout years.
No doubt about it. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else we forgot about?
No, I mean
Any more
I know it's
pointed?
been a
Yeah.
minute. I probably missed stuff, but I think it's great to be back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, send me things to do. Yeah,
Tweets.
tweet me
Yeah.
questions. Things that keep me busy. Um, Yeah, all the even the love and support I've gotten from the UCLA fan base and family means so much to me, this time injuries are always rough. Like I've been through them, and of course I know I can get through them, but you know, there's days where they're darker than others, what I'm saying, where it's frustrating and it's like sad and it's depressing because it's like, yeah, I want to be playing ball, like it's what I do. I'm not I'm
Mm-hmm.
not done. I know people always like I've seen people already say like once your career, go
Oh, right.
talk to
Yeah.
Coach Foster. Why don't you join the staff? And I've talked to Coach Foster. I've talked to Scott White. And they're telling me take my time, like play as long as I can, and then when I'm ready, get into coaching. And yeah, I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
my playing is done yet. So I'm going to continue with it, staying up here at this season. Probably go back to California after the season, and you never know how this is going to progress and how my recovery is going to be. But as of now, I'm ready. I'll be ready to go come May, June, beginning of the CFL season next year. So you'll get me on here talking UCLA football, but I don't think you'll get me
Mm-hmm.
uh, with
Not
Shea Pitts
coaching.
quite yet.
Well, hell, the minute we get you with Shea Pitts is the minute you're done with the podcast because there's no way they're letting you
They
do
won't.
both.
Yeah, I might let you interview
Yeah.
me here and there, but yeah, they're definitely gonna have me on a
Yeah.
string. Like you can't. Yeah,
Yeah, we might have to hang up the microphone for you if they let you on staff.
yeah.
But all right, man, we'll get you out of here. Thank you everybody for tuning in and listening to the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Obviously, this podcast is free. We don't ask for a whole lot, but we do ask that you subscribe, like, give us a review, whatever you guys can do. All that stuff helps with the channel and the show here that we're doing for the Believe Network. But yeah, as always, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you, everybody.